Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Mi, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful kinds of haki to exist, and it may be the very one that will make Luffy the strongest character in the world. Throughout the story of One Piece, we've seen how haki has the ability to evolve, and depending on how hard the user works, they can reach incredible levels with their haki and make them all the more powerful and nearly untouchable. It's also been shown that as the user evolves their haki, they can make it awaken new abilities. And not only that, they get a power that approaches that of almost a deity. Just consider how the Pirate King God Roger possessed haki that would allow him to conquer anything he wanted, as this was confirmed by Kaido in his fight with Luffy that all Roger had was haki. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the possibility of the existence of a god-level haki, the greatest evolution of haki that would make its user practically invincible, to the point of having the powers that resemble that of a deity or a god. But before we delve into the greater heights of haki, if you're new to the channel, we'd be absolutely honored if you consider leaving us a like or even subscribing with a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing the video with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So friends, it's been explained that haki is based on the user's life force and is a literal manifestation of their will. And it works as a reinforcement for fighting or even enhancing attacks, or even for analyzing the environment. And there are three basic types of hakis that we've seen demonstrated so far. The first possesses the ability to sense the spiritual energy or essence of another person, and this haki is called the color of observation, or observation haki. And it's said whoever has total control over this power can become practically omniscient. The second type of haki uses the life force or will of the user and creates a literal shield on the user's body, and it makes it more resistant and stronger, and this haki is called the color of armament, or armament haki. And those who have total control over this ability are able to achieve the greatest body resistance in the world, making them pretty much indestructible. And finally, the third type of haki, which is considered the rarest because unlike the first two types, one is born with this type of haki. It is, of course, the color of the conqueror, or conqueror's haki. And this is the ability of the user to actually make their willpower in waves go over their opponents, making them follow the user's will, or to even knock them fully unconscious. This conqueror spirit is able to exert the will in so many more ways and has greater radiuses the more control. And this causes people to be around the wielder to be defeated if they possess a weak will, or no matter what it is, as if they were being controlled by an unstoppable force, and their wills crumble as if they are even in the presence of a deity. So if a person were able to manage to master all three types of haki, could they then obtain a divine power, possibly called something like God Haki, because they would be able to see and feel everything, and have a resistance that would make them immune to any source of damage, and then with their great will, have the ability to lead or everyone around them, literally making them a deity. As we know, the idea of haki is dormant in every living person, but for most people, it's rare to awaken this technique in natural ways. However, once somebody can obtain it through training, with of course the obsession of conquerors, they're able to awaken their haki and begin to use it in more and more creative and powerful ways. We especially saw this with Luffy and the other Straw Hats, who managed to obtain their haki through training during the time skip. But of course, haki can also be awakened if the character is in a difficult situation, as we saw with Kobe during the Battle of Marineford. There are also extremely rare cases, such as Isa and Otahime, who were born with their haki already awakened. Although so far it's still unknown how these two characters managed to obtain this technique despite not having been trained. Due to the fact that haki originates from an individual's spirit, or kind of soul, and not their body, even if the user's spirit was transferred into another body, they're still able to use the haki as if they were in their original. So this means that a person's soul that produces this kind of energy regionalizes their haki, similar to the power of a devil fruit that possibly remains in the user's soul after eating. Now, of course, the workings of the soul in One Piece are still kind of unknown, but we have seen with Brook and Big Mom's powers that the soul is a very real thing. And although we wonder how this could be taken, we do know that it is originated from the soul, and thus the soul of a haki user would be the very source of their power. And the stronger this person's soul and determination is, the stronger their haki and skills become, which can take it to a level never seen before. And we may be seeing this evolution with the Pirate King, and also seeing it currently with Luffy. As I talked about earlier, in the most recent chapters of the manga, the King of the Pirates, God Roger, did not possess and did not need a devil fruit power to get to the last island. Kaido said that he became the strongest and became the strongest only by possessing haki at a very high level. And with this power, he could do pretty much whatever he wanted and beat anyone in his path. As for Luffy, we've seen at times his spirit become stronger, and his power and his way of using Haki is increasing in level even more. And we see that his Haki constantly evolves to the point of making him more and more powerful, and even making him able to reach the level of a Yonko. We've also seen people talk about how Haki can bloom and become stronger, especially when a Haki user fights stronger opponents. And despite their great capabilities, Haki is not unlimited, as it can be depleted by overuse, and this renders the user unable to use it for a certain period of time or really wears down their stamina. So it seems just as a fight would have wear and tear on a person's physical body, the use of Haki is going to put that same kind of wear and tear on their soul. Thinking back to Luffy's fight with Doflamingo in Dressrosa, after Luffy had used Gear 4th for the first time, he had to wait about 10 minutes in order for his Haki to recover so he could then use it again. This demonstrates that while the user is tired, they can't use or exert their will over others. So the Haki may be very dependent on the physical and mental state of the user for it to be used as its true potential. We even saw when Old Man Hirogoro was teaching Luffy about Ryo, or kind of Haki flow, he had to talk about the idea that your mind had to be calm in order to let your Haki flow outside of your body. So when one uses all three categories at once, they get the ability to reinforce their body, increase their strength, offensively control or bind their opponents, and then see everything that's going on around them. But when we put all three together at the highest level, that seems to be where the true and greatest power of Haki lies. And again, as Kaido said, the true greatest power in the world of One Piece is Haki. Because of course, some people can't fight another person if they have a much more powerful Haki than them. For example, when we saw Kaido and Luffy's fights earlier, Kaido's Haki was so much stronger, he was able to one-shot Luffy. But as Luffy's Haki has grown, he has gone closer and closer to our Yonko. It also seems that most people who use Haki tend to have a specialty or a specific type that they just seem to be more proficient at. But this doesn't take away from the fact that they could train all their Haki types to the same level, especially if they were born as a conqueror. So a person could improve their abilities, it just requires more work. A good example would be Goldie Roger. He was able to possess the highest level of Haki that we've ever seen demonstrated so far, because he could control and defeat opponents who even used a Devil Fruit. So it could be that there's an ability for the user to make their Haki even more powerful than advanced Haki, elevating it to the level of a god, making them all the stronger. Now, the concept of deities is not a new idea in One Piece, and it's been shown that there are several divine creatures and mysticism, so it means that there could be a divine power beyond Devil Fruits. During the first introduction of Observation Haki, where we see Enel using it on Skypiea, it said that it was a divine power if the user could reach the level of efficiency with it, which could mean that if the user could reach the maximum level of this power, it could be enhanced to the divine level. With Observation Haki, the user gets almost a sixth sense of the world around them and begin to develop limited kind of premonitionary abilities where they can predict enemy movements. But we've also seen recently that people can also now see the future for just a few seconds, which gives them an even greater edge in battle. So if we were to take this precognition to the highest level, to the level of a deity, it's possible that Joy Boy somehow knew that he wouldn't be able to accomplish his mission during the Lost Century. So somehow, yet he also knew that someone would come along in the future that would be able to finally complete his plan. So it could be that Joy Boy was able to open up and unlock this divine level of Haki, being able to see the future far beyond human comprehension, becoming almost a divine being. But he could, although he could see the future, he knew that he couldn't change it. This omnipresent power would give him this ability to also see the future and would allow Joy Boy to know the fate of his successor. We've also seen advanced applications with armament Haki, where the user isn't just using their spirit to armor themselves, but we've also seen that Kaido and maybe even Luffy now are able to compare their armament Haki with their conqueror's Haki, making them all the more difficult to strike. And of course, early on in Kaido's and Luffy's fight, we saw that although Luffy brought many heavy strikes against Kaido, he couldn't injure him because it would only be a conqueror's coded attack that would finally be able to break through Kaido's resistance. So if there existed this godlike level and final unlocking of armament and conqueror's Haki, this would make a person nigh untouchable. And not only that, they'd also be able to exert their will over anyone, being able to control or at least influence the minds of those around them. And of course, only those with a equally strong will of their own could resist this kind of Haki. I mean, we saw that as Shanks walked onto Whitebeard's boat, not only did he start knocking all of his crew members out and doing physical damage to the boat, it was only veterans like Marco who were able to stand in his presence. So as you can see, as our story continues, there is a very good possibility that there could be an additional level to Haki. Of course, because as we've learned about Conqueror's coding, as we think about how Oda takes our Straw Hats into the future, how is he going to add on to Haki? Because as we've gone through this story in Wano, Haki has become a much more important facet of the story. Because early on, it sounded like devil fruits were really the thing. But more and more, it looks like Haki is that greater thing. And just as we saw Luffy gain Future Sight battling Katakuri, we also have to admit the fact that there is even more growth beyond. But with this said, if Luffy were to attain it, he could literally accomplish anything, even Joy Boy's unfinished business. But for now, what do you think about this? What new levels of Haki do you think exist, and what do you think it would be called? Let us know in the comments below. So friends, as we wrap up our video for the day, I want to thank you so much for watching it all the way till the very end. Make sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you've made it this far, give us a like as you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in the next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.